Okay, folks, we invite you to stay with us for the Old Spice postgame report. We'll go back to Joe Robbie Stadium for more postgame interviews, and we'll preview next Sunday's AFC Championship between the Dolphins and the Bills by looking back at their 2 regular season meetings this year. We'll also look ahead to the NFC Championship game at Candlestick between the Cowboys and the 49ers. These two played a memorable NFC title game 11 years ago in the same place. We'll relive some of that. And, of course, we'll get the comments of Mike Ditka and Will McDonough. We'll get started with the Old Spice postgame show right after these messages on your local station.
This is the Old Spice NFL Live postgame report, brought to you by Old Spice Fragrance and Deodorant.
So the AFC Championship is set. Buffalo visits Miami next Sunday. We'll be on the air at noon with NFL Live. Let's take a look at how the 2 regular season meetings went. We begin with the game at Rich Stadium in Week 5. Both teams were undefeated at the time. Buffalo 4-0, Miami 3-0. It was the Dolphin debut for tight end Keith Jackson. The former Eagle signed a lucrative contract as a free agent and quickly became another weapon in Dan Marino's arsenal.
To Jackson, did he spear that one? And it is a touchdown. Oh, my!
The Dolphins would do plenty of celebrating at Rich Stadium. Up 24-10 in the 3rd. Don Shula's club put the game out of reach.
3rd and goal. Intercepted. It is Lewis Oliver again. Does he have a touchdown? Kelly can't get him. Lewis Oliver all the way.
And Oliver let the Buffalo fans know just how he felt, gloating a bit. Bills coach Marv Levy was none too happy with the events.
When you're a little kid growing up, you get your butt whooped, and you got to face reality, you got to face him another time, and I'm just glad that we get another chance to face the Dolphins again. Today they beat us good.
We killed the Buffaloes, you know what I'm saying? We shot them in the head and wiped them off the prairie.
Yes, well, in the second meeting, this time at Joe Robbie, Marino started out on fire. Greg Beatty caught this TD, and Marino, in fact, completed his first 11. It appeared at the time that the winner of the game would have the upper hand in the AFC East. Marino gave the Dolphins a 14-3 lead when he hit Mark Clayton with his 19-yarder early in the second quarter. But the Bills, who've certainly proven they can take a punch, hung in and trailed only 14-13 after Kenneth Davis scored from 5 yards out. Buffalo took the lead for good early in the 3rd quarter when Davis scored again, this time from the 1. The Bills never kicked their offense into high gear, but they did make some key plays. They forced 2 second-half turnovers and were able to sack Marino 4 times. Bruce Smith, who's never had great games against Miami, sacked Marino for the first time personally since 1987. The Bills won it, 26-20. Okay, we know they're familiar with each other. We know off this season split they're evenly matched. But how about that bulletin board material the Dolphins provided by taunting the Bills that way?
Well, I think that's really in poor taste. But I mean, I understand the players excited, but it's in poor taste, and it has no place in football. So I'm sure that there'll be a lot of Bills looking for Lewis Oliver and vice versa.
Buffalo, by the way, according to the USA Today's Danny Sheridan, opens as a 1-point favorite. San Francisco favored by 4 over Dallas. Don Shula, rightly, kind of brushed off the question from O.J. about playing a team for the 3rd time, but you've been in various playoff situations against teams you're familiar with and others you haven't played. What's the difference?
Well, I think, first of all, Buffalo and Miami know each other very well, and there's no problem there. They know what they're going to do and what they have to do. They know what their tendencies are. They're not going to change a whole lot. They're going to do what they can do best, and they're going to continue to keep doing that through the whole game.
Willie?
Well, I'll tell you what this game shows you today. If you do not put pressure on Dan Marino, he will beat you. If you remember the second half of that Monday night game when Buffalo had the great comeback, they were right in his face the whole second half. They will have to play the game next Sunday like that if they're going to win.
You know, briefly, Coach, we were talking about this yesterday when Warren Moon was here. Oilers beat the Chargers 27-0, and we talked about spreading them out, having the kind of personnel on offense that can spread the defense out. That's what happened today.
It really did, and the other thing that happened is they did not pressure Marino at all. I mean, the turnover factor was the big factor in the football game, but there was no pressure on Dan at all. His line did a great job for him. And the thing that's amazing to me about Marino is he gets rid of the football. He moves out of the pocket. His feet are very good. People tell me he's not quick of foot. Maybe he doesn't run a 40 quick, but I guarantee he has great feet because he moves away from people and then delivers a pass. He never avoids people with the idea of running with a football. He avoids people to throw the football.
And despite today's season-ending 31-0 loss, a triumphant season for both Bobbies, Beathard and Ross. They won 12 of their last 14, closed with a rush, and obviously, as the cliche goes, a force to be reckoned with this coming season. When we come back, we'll preview the NFC Championship between the Cowboys and the 49ers, and we'll also turn the clock back 11 years to one of the best playoff games in memory. That's next on the Old Spice postgame report. We'll turn our attentions to Dallas and San Francisco in the NFC in just a moment. But first, back down to Miami. O.J. is standing by in the Dolphin locker room with Keith Jackson. Go ahead, Juice.
Yeah, Bob, I'm with a happy Keith Jackson. It's got to be a big moment for you going to a championship game. How do you feel about that, especially in light of the fact that your former teammates, the Eagles, lost earlier today?
I've been to the playoffs 3 times in Philadelphia, and we hadn't won a game, and they happened to win that first game this year, and I'd say congratulations to those guys, but we're going to the championship, and we won our first game, and I'm probably the happiest tight end in the league.
Before I talk to you about Buffalo, let's talk about your touchdown. It seemed to be a lot of confusion in the San Diego secondary. You can look at the monitor down here. Tell us about the touchdown, what happened on the play.
What happened was Danny was doing a lot of key breakers. He was telling me to run out and go up, but they had been saying to me just run out. So when I turned upfield, the strong safety wasn't expecting, and I was wide open. He did it a lot in the game. He said, you run this, but then this other guy do that, and that's just a little celebrating.
Your thoughts about Buffalo? You played them twice this year. Tell me the difference in those 2 games and what you expect next week.
Buffalo's a good team, but they're a little banged up. But, you know, they still got great athletes on their team. And the thing is last time we started off and we let them come back on us. This time, if we keep the aggressiveness and play the way we did today and not let up and keep pounding, I think that we can win that game.
Well, if this guy standing next to me have a great game, you surely have a great chance to win. The greatest quarterback, Dan Marino. Dan, not an overly impressive statistical day for you. I think 18 of 29, not a whole lot of yards, but you scored points this week, something you haven't done the last 5 weeks.
Well, very true. We took advantage of our opportunities. The defense just gave us good field position all day. You got to take your hats off to the way they played, shutting down San Diego's offense, and the rain was really a big problem early for me, I know, and we just kind of controlled that after that.
What did you see in that San Diego secondary? Once again, we're going to talk about that Jackson touchdown. What was going on there?
Well, they like to blitz when you get down close, and you see right here that Keith got one-on-one with the safety. Oh no, this is a different one. This is the one at the end of the half. They were going to line up in a blitz, and when we spread out, they kind of got confused, and Keith went right down the seam, and I was able to pick him up. He made a great catch.
Were you surprised that you guys were able to move the ball when you had to against this team?
Well, you know, going in, we had a lot of respect for their defense because they have great athletes, and the fortunate thing that happened to us is we made some big plays when we had to score points, and that's something we haven't been able to do. We just need to continue to build on what we did today.
Talk to me about a team you know a lot about, the Buffalo Bills, big game next week.
Well, they're a veteran team. I have a lot of respect for everybody on their team. They've been in this situation many, many times, so we're going to have our work cut out for us, but I'm glad we're playing here instead of going to Buffalo.
Well, I sort of say good luck to you with my fingers and legs crossed. Bob, back to you.
All right, Juice, thanks a lot. And unlike some of his teammates who were jiving around on the sideline and maybe taunting the Buffalo Bills a little bit, Dan Marino providing no bulletin board material. A fine team. I respect them. We'll take our chances. He give them absolutely nothing to chew on in the week preceding the game. Now, we've got to take a commercial break. Again, today's finals, Miami 31, San Diego nothing, Dallas 34, Philadelphia 10, and we'll talk about the Cowboys and the 49ers when we come back.
This is the Old Spice NFL Live postgame report, brought to you by Old Spice Fragrance and Deodorant.
So we've already previewed next Sunday's AFC Championship. The NFC title game is, of course, set as well, with the 49ers hosting the Cowboys at Candlestick. That matchup brings to mind the 1981 NFC title game, which was played exactly 11 years ago today, also in San Francisco. A symbolic game in that it coincided with the eventual demise of the Cowboys and the emergence of the 49ers. They would go in drastically different directions in the 1980s. Coach Landry had dinner with him the other night in the aftermath of your firing in Chicago. You were one of his assistants during that season, so you were there at Candlestick. What do you remember about the game?
Well, it was a great football game, and it really came down to that one play at the end, and actually, you know, like you said, we had a chance to get it back, but the catch was truly amazing. I thought the ball was completely overthrown. You know, I was up in the press box at the time looking down. I said, there's no way he can catch that ball, and he made one of the great, Dwight Clark made a great catch, and I mean, really, they earned the right to win that football game, and really, it did cause the Cowboys to kind of fall off and for them to start to rise.
Yeah, and so in recent years, Bob, I talked to Bill Walsh, and he told me, well, we also got a break in the Super Bowl. I don't think we could have beaten San Diego, which lost to Cincinnati that year in the 58-degree game, but we matched up better with Cincinnati, so we got a break and we beat Cincinnati.
That's 58-59 on the wrong side of zero.
That's
not,
right.
Not on the plus side. Okay, we step aside here for a commercial. When we come back, a couple more interviews, perhaps from Miami. And we'll close things out. As a matter of fact, I'm told Troy Vincent is standing by. We'll get to him after this. Quickly back to O.J. with Troy Vincent.
Troy, great day. 2 interceptions. You were around the ball all day. Let's take a look at a couple of those interceptions. Tell me what was going on.
Well, in this particular play, we're in the inside. We're in man-to-man coverage. I had inside technique with Louis Oliver over top of me. I really wasn't worried about the deep route. I just had inside technique keeping him from coming inside, and he turned the ball upfield, and I turned with him, and the ball happened to fall in my hands. On this play, we're in man-to-man again. I was outside technique and kind of trailing him, and the ball was kind of thrown high. He tipped the ball up, and I was zeroing in to make the tackle and happened to see the ball loose and dive for it.
Defensively, you guys played very aggressive all day. Was that the game plan to be aggressive?
Yes. Well, we knew coming in the game that San Diego was there very, very aggressive and big offense, and we knew they were going to come at us and try to pound us, and we had to be more physical. And the coach said before we left the locker room today that the team is the most physical. The team is the team that's going to win.
Well, we're looking forward to a physical game next week against Buffalo. Bob, back to you.
Okay, before we clear out of here, Coach Ditka, a thought on Dallas and San Francisco, maybe a pick?
Well, I'm not going to make a pick, but I think it could be one of the great games of the year, really. You got the two best teams in the NFC playing, and that's the way it should be, so it's going to be a great football game.
Great to see you again, Mike.
Thank you, Bobby.
Best of luck to you. Okay. Now, next Sunday, we've got the AFC Championship game from Miami, the Dolphins and the Bills, starting with NFL Live at noon Eastern Time. A reminder that coming up on NBC tonight, it's Secret Service, followed by Eyewitness Video, and then the Sunday night movie, Elvis and the Colonel, The Untold Story. My friends, there is actually information you do not know about Elvis Presley. And for us, we, in fact, have left the building. For Mike Ditka, Will McDonough, Dick Enberg, Bob Trumpy, O.J. Simpson, and Todd Christensen, this is Bob Costas. See you next Sunday from Miami.
The preceding has been a presentation of NBC Sports.